Well, the Nationals will abandon net zero in a move that some in the party believe is a ploy to keep Barnaby Joyce in the party. Barnaby Joyce said on the weekend that he would not be recontesting his seat of New England at the next election, with sources claiming the plan was for Joyce to contest a New South Wales Senate spot for One Nation. Let's see if it works. Joining us live now is Barnaby Joyce. Barnaby, good to see you this morning. So let's get right to it. Are you going to One Nation?
Look, I'm not going to. Let's just start at the actual start. The start is, first of all, to the people of New England and Upper Hunter, I will not be contesting the next election. It's an incredible honour to represent that part of the world. It is actually about them first and foremost, and our nation, and suppose my God. But this is incredibly important that they understand that they are first and foremost in my thoughts of what I do. By the next election, it'll be 15 years that I've been a member. I think that's a pretty good run in the park, and that gives New England and the Upper Hunter 2.5 years to cast their eye over all, the new candidates coming forward and who can best represent them, and I wish them all the very best. That is the most important thing. For my part, obviously, as I've stated, unfortunately, but it is a reality, the relationship between myself and David over a number of years is, it's broken down, and it's very sad, but that's just what happens in some human relationships. And it's not really conducive to being effective for me, nor effective for them to remain in the room. And so you've got to accept that and move on. The next thing is, what are you going to do next? Leave that one up to me. I'll make my decision in my time. I'm now, as I say, a free agent, and I'm not going to start sort of salami slicing off all possible ideas. But as I've said on one other network today, I am very interested in a morning slot with Sky, comparing the show.
You're very welcome to join me as always, Barnaby, but it sounds like you've made up your mind. So right now, are you with the Nationals right now?
I mean, I'm still a member of the National Party, but look, I'm not, this is it's unfortunate. When you get to a point where you think, rightio, I'm going to have to pull the Band-Aid off this, and we're going to have to work it out. And when the last story that broke whilst I was up in Queensland trying to raise money for the LNP and the Nationals and trying to help them out, that was not helpful. And I just thought, we've got to bring this thing to a close, because this is just not working. And so I won't be sort of involved with the National Party at a political level in Canberra, and that's very sad. I love my members of the Nationals at a local level, but I hope people can see it. I tried, not without being too flippant, to talk about his relationship, and we all know that during the campaign I was asked basically not to campaign for the Nationals, and after, when there's a reorganisation, they said it's by reason of generational change. Now, let's pretend that's your partner, and you come home and says, look, there's just two things. By reason of generational change, I want to not really have you in the kitchen anymore. And by the way, I don't want you to be seen out of the building either. Well, not with me.
Right. Okay. So if the Nationals, as is being reported this morning, if the Nationals do ditch net zero, and that's potentially seen as some kind of offer to keep you in the party, that won't work?
I think ditching net zero should not be an offer to me. It should be a reality of Australia. This is outrageous what we are doing to our nation. You have you're putting small business out of business. Their power prices are going through the roof. You're putting poor people out of their house. You are dividing communities. You are desecrating the landscape with swindle factories and solar panels and windmills. You are deindustrialising Australia when we have China breathing down our neck. Communist China, not the Chinese people, but communist China breathing down our neck. You're losing your aluminium sector.
But if the Nats ditch that wouldn't be enough to keep you?
You don't get out of net zero because of Barnaby Joyce. You get out of net zero because it is a really bad policy that's doing so much damage and so much hurt to our nation, and it has no effect, zero effect on the weather. No, doesn't change the climate 1 degree in any direction. It is completely useless, but it makes a lot of money for billionaires, a lot of money for them. So that's why you should get out of net zero, not for me.
Okay. So just to be clear, Barnaby, do you intend to sit in the Nats or Coalition party room when they meet next week, or will you have made your mind up about whether to go to One Nation by then?
I'll make my mind up as I go along, right? And, leave that one with me.
Okay. If you've had chats with Pauline, though, presumably you're going and you want that New South Wales spot for One Nation.
This is the other thing I always find, Pete, incredible. So in a couple of days, I've gone from joining One Nation, being a senator for One Nation. It only took a member, and I was leading One Nation. That was rather remarkable. And then even last night, I listened to people complaining about my leadership of One Nation. I haven't even joined One Nation. I haven't even resigned from the National Party. So let's just... Let's go about this slowly. I spoke to Pauline about a month and a half ago, just because I was in Parliament House, said g'day, nothing wrong with that. And because I keep on hearing these stories, I decided to remove the middleman and give her a call myself last night, where I spoke to her for about 5 or 10 minutes. There you go. And no, I'm not going to tell you what we spoke about, but there was a few laughs.
About what?
Well, apparently I've gone from nowhere to apparently going to lead it. I mean, this is all crazy.
Okay. All right. But Barnaby Joyce continues as a politician. That's the other way of looking at this.
You bet. I'm not going anywhere in the next 2 minutes. I'm going to see this. I'm going to see this net zero dead and buried.
All right.
You watch.
But there's absolutely no chance that, like you said, the marriage with you and David Littleproud, it can't be repaired. That's what you're saying.
Well, I think it's like, I don't know, but we shouldn't be flippant. People have been through marriage breakups, the most traumatic things that happen in someone's life. But look, it's really hard to get it back together again, isn't it? But
is there a chance? Is there at least a sliver of a chance?
Look, I'm just not going to sort of cut and dice things.
Okay.
We'll just
all right.
Leave it go.
You've been good enough to see us this morning, Barnaby, at short notice. Really appreciate it. Thank you.